slugfest.
That's the word for it.
Absolute pitcher's duel here. I don't even know if that's the case, because I think that would mean that there'd be great defensive performance. I just think it was sluggish offense.
I think they put the slug in slugfest in this one. Yeah.
The Vikings win this game 12-7. The Jags, no Trevor Lawrence in this game. Mac Jones started in this game. Continue their skid as this season goes on. Some heated post-game comments from Machine and the coaching staff. I think everybody's just very frustrated in Jacksonville right now, understandably so. Let's take a look at the top 5 graded players in this game, starting with the Minnesota Vikings. Cornerback Byron Murphy with an 89.1 overall grade. He was the top man for Minnesota in this one. Tight end TJ Hawkinson back in the lineup, 85.6 overall grade. Offensive tackle Brian O'Neill with a 75.0. Tight end Josh Oliver still in the lineup and playing very well despite TJ Hawkinson being back. He had a 74.7 overall grade. And then linebacker Ivan Pace with a 72.6 grade. Sam Darnold in this one. Quite a few turnovers, but hey, still got the dub. 61.7 overall grade on Jacksonville side of things. Cornerback Ronald Darby with a 90.7 in elite grade there. Safety Darnell Savage with an 87.1. Cornerback Monteric Brown with an 81.4. Offensive tackle Walker Little with a 73.3. And then tight end Evan Ingram, a 67.0. Mac Jones in this game as the starter. Hometown starter. It was a homecoming for him. Grew up in Jacksonville, played high school football in Jacksonville. Finally got the start for the Jags here. 56.4 overall grade. Seth told the story. What do we got, Dalton?
Just turnovers. This game was as ugly as you mentioned at the top, and there's probably a majority of people who want to forget this game ever happened. So started with Sam Darnold in the first half, 3 interceptions inside the Jacksonville 30. Minnesota was driving. Honestly, they could have ran away with this game early, probably won it something like 28-7, but Darnold making a lot of mistakes. Really just not a good day accuracy-wise for him. He missed a lot of even open throws or throws in the end zone. I mean, it was a tough day for Darnold, and they're trying to get by with Cam Robinson as their new left tackle instead of Christian Darrisaw. There's just a lot on offense. It's not quite clicking the way we saw earlier in the year with Minnesota. And then in the fourth quarter, in a close game, actually a game that Jacksonville was ahead for most of it, Mac Jones with 2 interceptions and a lost fumble. He fumbled a snap in the fourth quarter. So just a game where both teams were ugly. It's not even like the Giants-Panthers game where one team made mistakes and the other didn't. Both teams made mistakes in this game. Minnesota moved the ball a little bit better to get those field goals on the board, and they forced their turnovers late in the game when it mattered. But it was an ugly one, and one that when we look back on it, we'll just be like, wow, that was you mentioned a slugfest, but I think that might even be complimenting it.
I mean, the game wasn't that different because, like you said, it was so sloppy between both teams. But even if you just look at the time of possession, which I feel like is the stat that probably told the story for you, because you didn't have to know anything else about this game. And if you saw that the Vikings had a time of possession of 42 minutes and 19 seconds compared to the Jags just 17 minutes and 41 seconds. The Jags only had the football for 17 minutes and 41 seconds in this game. Everybody in the world would tell you, looking at the time of possession battle, they'd be like, yeah, Minnesota won. And obviously, if you dig into it a little bit more, it's not like they won it very clearly.
They wouldn't have guessed 12-7.
It's not like all of these drives were, like this methodical, everything's working. It's just who had the 21 play drive? Was it Army who had the 21 play drive?
Yeah, like 14 minutes or something.
Yes,
Army
it was
against
a full
Texas.
Quarter of football. Yeah. I think it was 21 plays, like 95 yards.
Yeah.
It was something that was crazy. So it wasn't quite that from the Minnesota Vikings, but when you have the football that long, it's so hard to lose.
Something good is going to happen eventually.
It's so hard to lose.
Yeah.
And really the only thing that kept the Jags in this game is that Sam Darnold continues to throw turnovers, which kind of brings me into sort of my most disappointing here, which I'm a little bit more worried about because I don't think there's a lot of big takeaways from this game because the season for Jacksonville is over. Right? I mean, I think we're going through wholesale changes with the coaching staff this upcoming offseason. It's just a matter of Trevor Lawrence, who missed this game with a shoulder injury. Do you even want to play Trevor Lawrence really throughout the rest of the season? And if he's healthy, he's going to play. It's not like they're just going to shut him down to shut him down. But there's not a huge takeaway from this game other than the fact that the Vikings were at least able to get a victory against a team that they should have beaten. Most disappointing for me moving forward, though, is Sam Darnold in these red zone turnovers because he had one inside the red zone turnover. He had an interception and a turnover-worthy play, but then I saw you point out this in your notes as well. He also had an interception from the 30. So he was throwing into the end zone. He was throwing into the red zone. And that was also another turnover-worthy play and an interception. So technically it's not a quote-unquote red zone turnover-worthy play for him. But when you look at the season, if you include that throw into the red zone that he had this week, his 4 interceptions and 4 turnover-worthy plays into the red zone are the most in the NFL. Like, that's the area where, buddy, you can't be doing this. Of course we want to get 7 more than we want to get 3. But at the end of the day, this offense is good enough, it is stable enough to where if you aren't committing these turnovers at the number 1 rate in the league in the red zone, Vikings offense is going to be all right. You're going to be able to figure out, you're going to be there when it's near the end of the game. You're either going to be ahead of the scoreboard or you're going to be close enough. That's the big issue for me, though, is Sam Darnold turning the ball over in the red zone, because it has become a big problem this season that I didn't really think was talked about enough. I had sort of heard of it over the last couple of weeks, how much he's been struggling, but when I heard that, it's kind of in the back of my mind as I'm watching this Jacksonville game, and now he does it twice, and I go, okay, there we go. Like, this is now a problem for the Vikings if he cannot take care of the football better in this area of the field.
Yeah, and to your point, he's got 12 turnover-worthy plays since week 4. That is tied with Drake May for the most in the NFL. So if you're Sam Darnold, it's been the thing your whole career. You have to protect the football. And this is a team that has a boatload of talent on offense, right? And they've got a defense that's playing well under Brian Flores. The one thing that'll kill this team come playoff time or down the stretch here is giving the football away, right? So it's just a matter of sometimes they'll throw it away. And honestly, I think there are times when, especially in this game, where just not as accurate. He's just missing throws. I don't know if it's his footwork, if his timing's off, because it just doesn't look quite as crisp as it did the first few weeks of the season. But those are the things that can lose you ball games, especially they're going to be playing a lot of big divisional games down the stretch here, and turnovers will lose it for you.
Most impressive?
I'll take Byron Murphy.
You should.
Had the fourth quarter.
Was it the breakdancing moves after the interception the guy used?
Oh, the whole thing.
Okay.
Look, during the play, after the play, everything. You could argue he's the best player on the field in this game. A 90.1 coverage grade, only allowed 1 catch on, I believe it was 3rd and 18 for 11 yards, the interception in the fourth quarter. This is why they brought this guy in, to be their number 1 corner. And I know the Vikings, they aren't stacked with talent in the secondary. They kind of play greater than the sum of their parts with Brian Flores schemes and all that. But it helps when Byron Murphy goes out and plays a game like this. And, of course, we talk about the slugfest, but really what slugfest mean, even though they're ugly, some people even boring games, was, 2 defenses played pretty well. I want to credit the Jags secondary, too. They were really good in this game, Ronald Darby and those guys. So it's not just, these 2 offenses went out and they were so horrible that it was the worst game ever. I mean, it's still good defense involved in that, but I'll take Byron Murphy.
I'm going to go with TJ Hockenson in this one. It wasn't his first game back. It was his second game back, but I believe it was his first game as a starter, and it was certainly his first game back to being TJ Hockenson that we remember. 9 targets, 8 catches, 72 yards. All of those were team highs. The 9 targets were tied with Justin Jefferson, but he was either tied or at the very top of the list for the Minnesota Vikings. So it was sort of like a, hey, welcome back to the offense kind of a thing. And, you want to get him a little bit acclimated coming off of that injury last week, but they really hit the ground running with him as a major focal point of their offense. And I think it really changes things when he is out there. I think the receivers outside of Justin Jefferson are playing well as well. We saw a big catch from Jordan Addison. Like, those guys have elevated, I think, the floor of this offense, and TJ Hockenson now in the mix, I think, just is really going to mean a lot for them moving forward. Did you do most disappointing for this game?
No, for me, it's just Doug Peterson, and I've said this in weeks prior, so I'm beating a dead horse, but I just don't know what the plan is.
Did you see the post game press conference quote?
I did not.
So he's asked about the Mac Jones interception to end the game, and he's like, "What was Mac supposed to be looking for there?" Because it looked like a bad interception, and the question was basically, what was Mac supposed to be looking for there? And Doug Peterson's just like, "Yeah, I'm not going to explain it to you guys because you wouldn't get it, but it's just we'll go look at the tape and we'll be better." And it's like, that's dead man walking.
Yeah,
answers.
I don't really get why answer like that, but either way, it's not just that play, the entire game. 16 design runs for 49 yards, 28 dropbacks for Mac Jones, and you're trying to help him out, but only 3 of them were play action, right? And I would think maybe, and I know Tank Bigsby, I think, rolled his ankle, or he got hurt somehow early in the game and then came back and he wasn't quite right, but only 3 play action dropbacks. Your best player, Brian Thomas, only gets 3 targets the entire game. Look, I've said it in past weeks, and it doesn't really change. It's just, in past weeks they had Trevor Lawrence who could make big throws and kind of work through the lack of a game plan. Now you see what it looks like with a guy like Mac Jones in there.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.